Alright, so I've decided to add a graphical component to this little project we're doing here. So I'm going to make an extra video that shows you how to programmatically do what we were doing in the previous video, which is drawing a circle inside a square. So what I want to do is when we write our program to simulate a bunch of points in the plane, like we were talking about in the last video, I want the program to also display all the points that have been generated in the plane. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to create two separate functions. So if we go to the program menu here, um, we have the one we created last time, Monty Pi. And if you're following along, you might notice that I deleted the one that I previously created called Inscribe. So I want to recreate that and show you how I did it. So this is just the program editor here. You got to name the program. So I'm going to recreate my Inscribe function. And the idea with this function is going to be that we're going to draw a square of width 1, and we're going to inscribe a circle in it. And in order to do that, we need to be able to see it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the graphing window. So in order to do that, I'm going to define the values that I want to use for my X-min and X-max, and my Y-min and Y-min and Y-max. So I'll show you. This might not make sense quite yet, but I just want to get this all in here, because what we're going to do is we're going to use these values to set our window, our graphing window. Oh shoot, hold on. They should be negative. Hold on, negative 0.55. This one should be positive. All right, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the window here. So I'm going to store these values in a variable, and it's a special variable. If you click the vars menu, you'll notice that the first option is the window. So if you select that one, notice these are all the properties of the window that you get when you hit the window button. So this is a way to programmatically set these. So I'm going to go through these and set each of them to the values we want here. So I'm going to store 0.55 in X max. Then I'm going to store that, in Y min. I'm going to store that in, I keep going over for some reason, max. Alright, so this is programmatically setting the window. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to script out exactly what I was doing in the previous video. So I'm going to draw some verticals. I'm going to draw one at 0.05 and another one at negative 0.05. And then I'm going to draw some horizontals. So I'm going to draw one at positive 0.5, and then I'm going to draw another one at negative 0.5. Alright, so that gives us a square. Well, technically it gives us 4 lines that intersect, and the intersection is a square. But now we want to inscribe the circle into it. So that is, remember, it's down below, number 9. We want to center it at 0, 0. And we want to make it a radius of 0.5. Alright, so that is all the geometric shapes we need. What I want to do now is actually execute this program and show you what happens. Normally, well, I guess before I clear out here, normally what you would do at this point is probably display the graph. So if you go over to IO, see there's a display graph command you can use. But I actually don't want to do that, because in the next video here I'm going to call this function from inside another function, and I don't want it to display the graph when I call it, so I'm going to ignore that, and I'll just manually bring up the graph. So let's make sure we got everything clear. Alright, so let me clear draw. That was the graph from the previous video. Let me make sure it's gone. Alright, so we got nothing graphed. So if we now execute our inscribe program, notice it gives us a nice graph. So this is a function we're going to use in the next video. we're going to call this function at some point in our MontyPy function we've created here, our MontyPy, sorry, I meant to go into edit, our MontyPy routine, or our MontyPy procedure. So at the very end, after we do everything we're going to do, we're going to call this function in order to visualize the points that we're generating to see how many of them actually fall within the circle and how many of them don't. So in order to do that, we can add a line at the very bottom that tells our calculator to execute the function we just created. So this is kind of like another introduction video to the actual experiment we're going to do. I wanted to get this visualization part in there because I think it's important to see what's actually going on. So next video, I'm going to pick up right here, and we're actually going to perform the simulation and see if we can estimate pi.